Hey everyone, Wolf Lord Rho here. So today we kick off our impromptu Space Wolves week. I've been in the mood for talking my beloved Sons of Rust lately, and rather than settle on just one topic, I've decided instead to discuss them all. So today, we begin by discussing the secret of the Space Wolves, the lie of the Wulfen. Spoiler warning to begin, as the events we're discussing today are from the Warhammer 40k short story, Engage the Enemy, by author Lee Lightner. As always, I really recommend you read the stories for yourself first, as that's the best way to enjoy the lore for yourself, without spoilers. But with that said, let's just jump straight in. Now, when it comes to Space Marine chapters, secrets are seemingly never far away. For all the Astartes' honourable symbolism, the realities of that are often very different beneath the surface. The price paid by many of these chapters to simply serve their emperor, a costly one. Of course, some bloodlines have to struggle more than most. The Sons of Sanguinius, for one, arguably the most cursed of all the Primarch legacies. The Dark Angels and their secrets are infamous, but so too do the Sons of Rust pay their own price. For 10,000 years, the Space Wolves alone bore their Primarch's legacy. To inherit the Mark of Rust was to become one with the Wolf. The Canis Helix is the first and most important part of the gene seed process. It instills the Space Wolves with abilities beyond that of their fellow Astartes cousins. Heightened hearing and smell, skin more akin to a hide, and most of all, the ferocity of the wolf. Within the soul of every son of Rust beats the heart of a beast. Something that fires their predatory nature, their wrath and rage in battle. Something that must always be controlled, contained. For if a Space Wolf were to let their spirit be overwhelmed, he would fall prey entirely to the beast within, the curse known as the Wulfen. While in recent years the Wulfen have become a more commonly spoken of topic, there was a time their name was more associated with legend and mystery. Lost wolves of long ago, within the days of the Great Legion, where even present-day Sons of Rust could only see it to believe it. And well, we got a perfect example of that mystery within the short story Engage the Enemy. Now, this short story takes place on an unnamed jungle world within the Imperium, a time within the war-torn days of the 13th Black Crusade. The Sons of Rust had been called to aid the Imperium in its defense against the ruinous powers, and this particular foe appeared to be that of the Iron Warriors. Now, the story follows two squads of Space Wolves under the command of a wolf priest named Fokar. Pack Morkai would scout the jungle ahead, and Pack Ranulf would remain with the wolf priest. The job simple: find the enemy and cleanse the jungle. With a swift insertion via Thunderhawk, it's not long until Wulfric, the wolf guard in charge of Squad Morkai, voxes back with sighting of the enemy. However, these Iron Warriors are already dead. So, Fokar and Pack Ranulf move up to rejoin Morkai. Now, this battle, although not old, is already being reclaimed by the jungle. However, using his Fenrisian senses, Fokar begins trying to piece together just what has happened. A Space Wolf version of CSI, if you will. And this is where the mystery begins, as the Iron Warriors were quite clearly ambushed by something fast and devastatingly vicious. And it's really quite interesting to see how the Space Wolves can use their power of scent, that heightened sense of smell, to make the difference. The blessing of the Canis Helix. The Wolf Priest carefully picked up the power claw. Claw marks completely covered the armour, which lay nearby. His sharp eyes spotted a strand of fur across the metal. He carefully picked it up, twisting it in his fingers. Fokar knew the scent. The hair was that of a Fenrisian wolf. And yet, something wasn't right. There was a vaguely human scent mixed in as well. Strange, it reminded him of. As a wolf priest of the Space Wolves, the guardians of the soul of the chapter, Fokar knows better than most the signs of the Wulfen. Immediately he opens up comms to the Great Company vessel in orbit, reporting a son of Russ has fallen to the curse. Knowing all his own men are present, he asks for reports from the other task forces, yet there are none, and no men missing. So this leaves the Wolf Priest doubting his own findings. Surely there can't be Wulfen if none of the Space Wolves are reported missing. And even here, from Fokar's immediate reaction to report it to the rest of the company, you see how important, how grave a situation this could be. How a falling of the curse can take precedence over everything. It's quite interesting to me, as you never really feel like it's seen as an equal threat, as say the Black Rage to the Blood Angels. And with the Sons of Sanguinius historically being far closer to extinction, admittedly perhaps it's not. But from the Space Wolf perspective, here you can see it's equally treated as such. That this is the curse of their bloodline, and there is nothing more important. Now, with the negative report back, the Wolf Priest and his 2 squads continue on through the jungle. However, it's not long before they come across more signs of battle, this time a destroyed enemy dreadnought. Here though, rather than torn apart by rending claws, it's been shattered by heavy firepower. A single melter hit to its carcass. Something a Wulfen could never and would never do. This is quite clearly the work of fellow Space Marines. So it leaves Fokar being more confused by the mystery than before. They'd also seemingly vanished, or teleported off. Something Space Wolves were loath to do at the best of times. And yet still, that scent of Fenris was unmistakable. The scenes of battle continue, each step of the way Fokar daring to contemplate the legend of the 13th. Could it just be the Great Company lost within the Eye of Terror? For surely it could be nothing else. So preoccupied had the Wolves become with the investigation, the realization maybe of their history, they'd allowed themselves to become ambushed, and the Iron Warriors finally launched their assault. With just 2 squads of Grey Hunters, the Wolves' chances were not good, for the Iron Warriors had a dreadnought and Terminators amongst their number. Yet all would not be lost. In the frenzy of battle, salvation would come from the emergence of the legend. The shadows of Wulfen and elder figures of Longfangs would turn the ambush back against the traitors. Fokar's forces would find themselves surrounded, but no longer by the enemy. Before them stood the ghosts of their ancient heritage, survivors of the lost 13th. There's a tense standoff, with the current era wolves faced with those lost to the curse, before the emergence of a Legion-era Wolf Priest, commanding the Wulfen to withdraw in ancient Fenrisian. And with that, the 13th are gone, back to being nothing more than legend. But this is why I wanted to discuss this topic today, as Fokar is then contacted by a commissar of the Militarum, asking if the area had been secured for landing, which was clearly the intent of their mission, to clear the area of enemy forces to allow the arrival of the Militarum. I'm afraid we missed all the fun. Our intelligence indicates that you are horribly outnumbered, observed the commissar. Russ was with us today, offered Fokar. We've had scattered reports of bestial creatures wearing fragments of Space Marine power armor. We were hoping that maybe you and your men could shed some light on these matters. Have you ever battled Chaos? They are all mindless beasts wearing power armor. Fokar spat. We have Khorne berserkers in the area. Frenzied, skull-rending killers. This area isn't safe for your men. We'll handle things. Go where you are needed. The Space Wolves will handle it from here. I see, replied the commissar. Very well. The comm signal died. Not that I would ever challenge you, Wolf Priest, but I'm not sure I understand what you said to the commissar, Wulfric stated. Fokar sighed. I lied, Wulfric. Our brothers have returned after centuries of existence within the Eye. You saw them. They can never return to Fenris. The Great Wolf can never welcome them back. However, we can ensure that they do not become hunted by those who they set out to defend 10,000 years ago. So I gave the commissar what he was looking for. An answer. Fokar lies to the commissar, to the Militarum, to protect his kin. Now an argument could be made that he's lying out of self-preservation. That if these Wulfen were found, in Space Wolf armor no less, it would bring renewed interest upon the chapter in the shape of the Inquisition. Perhaps the exact excuse many within the Inquisition may be looking for, with grudges still remaining from the months of shame. However, I just don't see that in Fokar's words. If that were his real intent, he would have easily said so to his brother Wulfric, but instead he lays it clear. He lied to protect those that have come before him. With those fallen to the curse, he knows they can never be returned to Fenris, be welcomed home, the honoured heroes that they are. So, as he says, it's the least he can do. Keep away the other forces of the Imperium, keep them hidden, and simply prosecute this particular campaign with forces of their own chapter. The Imperium still achieves its objective, and the 13th get to remain the myth. The line of "we can ensure they do not become hunted" by those they set out to defend 10,000 years ago, it speaks to the realities of the Imperium, the black and white of all their decisions, the grim dark. Despite serving their lives in the Imperium's name, in their Emperor's name, despite remaining loyal still, all of that goes out the window with the smallest trace of suspicion. And so it leads perhaps to its greatest servants and defenders, harbouring secrets. The Blood Angels with their flaw, the Dark Angels with the Fallen, the Space Wolves with the Wulfen. Heck, if the truth of Imperium Secundus had come out over the past 10,000 years, before Guilliman himself returned, the Ultramarines themselves would have probably been wiped out by the Inquisition, daring to heretically raise a second Imperium while the Emperor still lived. As unbelievable as it sounds, when you think about how uncompromising the Inquisition is, it probably would have happened. Paying such consequences through well-intentioned actions or events outside your control are one thing, but to be faced with eradication for the way you were simply made to be, as is the case for the Blood Angels and the Space Wolves, for me that adds another level of tragedy. Here, legionaries who gave their all, unquestionably following their Primarch's orders, hunting their quarry within the very Eye of Terror itself, are faced with the prospect of never being able to return home. Worse, to be hunted by those they protect, if they are ever found. The dark truth of the Imperium of mankind. We know in time some remnants of the Lost 13th would eventually be reunited and return to Fenris, those trapped within a time loop on Prospero and not lost to the curse. The events taking place within the novel Ashes of Prospero, though we haven't really seen anything about them since. For those that did reach the Eye of Terror, however, and became lost to the curse, perhaps we can forgive an old wolf priest a little white lie, if it spares those heroes of legend a dishonourable fate. But as always everyone, what do you think? Is it right that a loyal wolf priest of the Space Wolf chapter is forced to lie to fellow Imperium forces? Did Fokar make the right decision to honour those of the past? Or should he simply have told the Commissar the truth, thus allowing the Militarum to land their forces? Is it right the Lost 13th should be spared such a dishonourable fate? Or is the grim reality of the matter the truth that should not be ignored? The curse of the Wulfen is just that, a curse. The Marines they were before no longer exist. Was Fokar being sentimental rather than practical? As always, leave your thoughts in the comments below, I love to read them. Huge thank you to all my subscribers, your support truly means a lot to me, it really does. If you're new, please consider subscribing to help the channel grow. And if you enjoyed this particular vid, then why not drop a like on it too. But with that said, I am off and I'll see you all again tomorrow.